teenager has taken the PDC stage by storm, beating experienced pros and showing everyone that the game might never be the same again. Luke Littler's big win feels like a fairy tale, but there's more to the story than meets the eye, something that every darts fan needs to think about. Is Littler's rise the start of a new era that could change the heart of darts forever? And if that's the case, is the sport ready for what's coming? Luke Littler's rise has taken the darts world by storm, but it also raises some big questions. At just 17 years old, he's dominating the PDC stage, beating players who've spent decades honing their skills. There's no doubt he's talented, but what does his sudden success mean for the sport? Darts has always been about players who earn their stripes over time, building rivalries and respect through years of hard work. Littler's rapid rise could disrupt that tradition, creating what some might call a youth bias. This shift might not sit well with fans who've grown up admiring the legends of the game. Rivalries like Taylor versus Van Barneveld or Wright against Anderson didn't just happen overnight. They were built on years of intense competition. If Littler's dominance shifts the spotlight to younger players, darts could lose the depth and history that made it so captivating in the first place. But it's not just the pros who could feel the impact. Littler's success might inspire other young players to chase quick wins, skipping the important steps needed to handle the pressures of top-level competition. The reality is, not every young talent can handle the spotlight. If too many try to follow in Littler's footsteps, we could see more burnout, inconsistency, and short-lived careers in the sport. And there's another problem. Darts has always been a game where anyone, regardless of age, could find success. From young up-and-comers to late bloomers, the sport has been a level playing field. But if Littler's rise sets a new standard where only the youngest stars get noticed, what does that say to grassroots players who dream of making it later in life? What looks like a golden era for young talent might actually be a turning point for darts, one where the sport risks losing its values and traditions while chasing a new identity. Darts has always been more than just a game. It's a tradition built in smoky pubs and working-class communities, where legends like Eric Bristow, Jockey Wilson, and Phil Taylor became heroes. They weren't just players, they were characters, gritty, unpolished, and relatable. But Luke Littler's rise could signal a major shift. His journey, shaped by polished youth programs and structured training, feels miles away from the rugged paths that shape the sport's greatest names. As Littler's success grabs headlines, the image of darts is beginning to change. Some worry the sport is losing its edge, swapping its raw, authentic roots for something slick and corporate. Gone are the days of larger-than-life personalities with flaws that made them feel like everyday people. Littler, with his clean, calculated rise, represents a new generation of professionalized players where every move is carefully planned. This evolution has its upsides, but it comes with risks. Darts has always thrived on its imperfections, the rough edges that made it feel real and connected to everyday life. Now, as the sport edges closer to mainstream professionalism, fans are starting to wonder, is darts losing its soul? Littler's story might be inspiring, but it could also symbolize a future that feels less authentic, less grounded in the culture that made darts special. There's also a bigger question about who gets to succeed in this new version of darts. The old idea was simple. Anyone could pick up a board, grab a pint, and dream of becoming a star. But if Littler's path becomes the standard, it might send a message that success now depends on structured training, professional coaching, and resources. Things not everyone has. That could leave grassroots players and late bloomers behind, the very people who've kept darts alive for generations. Littler's rise is an incredible achievement, but it could also be the start of a new era, one where darts risks losing the grit, charm, and accessibility that made it iconic. For fans who've been there from the start, the question is clear: will this still feel like the sport they fell in love with? For Luke Littler, winning at such a young age might feel like a dream come true, but with that dream comes relentless pressure. The darts world has already placed him on a pedestal, expecting nothing less than perfection every time he steps up to the oche. But history has shown that early success can be a blessing and a curse. For every young star who thrives, there's another who struggles under the weight of it all. Will Littler rise to the challenge, or could the pressure become too much? It's not just about playing well, it's about constantly being in the spotlight. Every win, every loss, every moment is being watched and judged. The darts world isn't kind to mistakes, especially when they come from someone with as much hype as Littler. Fans who cheer you one day can turn just as fast when things go wrong. For someone so young, the constant scrutiny can be exhausting, even for the most talented players. There's also the risk of overexposure. Littler's name is everywhere, but putting so much focus on one player can be dangerous. Fans might start comparing him to legends like Phil Taylor or Michael Van Gerwen, expecting him to not just win, but change the game forever. Those are impossible shoes to fill, and if Littler falls short of those expectations, the backlash could be harsh, not just for him, but for darts as a whole. People might question if the sport is pushing young players too hard, too fast. The mental strain of being in the public eye so early is another challenge. Littler's story mirrors what we've seen in other sports, where young stars peak too soon and struggle to handle the pressure. Take Marcus Rashford, for example. He burst onto the football scene as a teenager, wowing fans with his skills. But as his fame grew, his focus shifted off the pitch to incredible causes like fighting child poverty. While he earned admiration for his efforts, some critics questioned whether his football suffered as a result. It raises the question, should young athletes focus solely on their craft, or is it natural for their priorities to evolve? Littler may face similar challenges as he becomes the face of darts. Darts has always been a sport that welcomes players from all walks of life, but if Littler struggles with the pressure, his story could become a cautionary tale for the next generation. Can he handle the expectations, or will being darts' next big thing prove too heavy a burden to bear? That's the question every fan is asking as Littler's journey unfolds. Luke. Littler's dominance is undeniably exciting, but it also raises a big question. What happens when one player becomes too good, too fast? His incredible skill might be thrilling to watch, but it could overshadow everyone else on the oche. Darts is a sport that thrives on its unpredictability. Fans tune in for close battles, underdog victories, and edge-of-your-seat drama. If Littler continues to outclass his opponents so convincingly, could that excitement fade away? Rivalries have always been at the heart of darts. They're about more than just talent, they're about evenly matched players pushing each other to their limits. Think of the epic clashes between Phil Taylor and Raymond van Barneveld, or the fiery battles between Michael van Gerwen and Peter Wright. These rivalries give fans something to invest in, but Littler's dominance could disrupt that balance, turning other players into supporting characters in his story. Without strong rivalries, darts risks becoming a one-man show, exciting at first, but lacking the depth that keeps fans coming back. Even experienced players might struggle to compete in Littler's shadow. If one player becomes too dominant, others might lose motivation, feeling like no matter how hard they try, they'll never catch up. Over time, this could drain the sport of its competitive edge, stifling the diversity of talent that has made darts such a thrilling game for decades. Then there's the question of how fans perceive the sport. Other sports have faced this problem. Look at Formula One during periods of one-driver dominance. Many fans felt the predictability made races less engaging. Could Littler's reign spark the same debate in darts? If fans feel the outcome is already decided, they might start tuning out. Littler's success is a testament to his incredible talent.
11 darter, 10 darter, and another 11 to win the match with one of the most astonishing sets of darts you'll ever see. 141.
But it also brings challenges that darts can't ignore. Can the sport continue to thrive when one player is so far ahead of the competition? Or will it lose the drama, rivalries, and surprises that have defined it for generations? That's a question darts fans, and the sport itself, will have to face as Littler's journey continues. Luke Littler's rise isn't just about personal success, it's a sign that darts is heading in a new direction, one that not everyone is eager to embrace. His achievements are the product of polished youth academies and carefully structured training programs, worlds away from the gritty, scrappy beginnings of the sport. While this new wave of professionalism has its benefits, it also risks leaving behind the heart and soul that made darts what it is. Darts is becoming more commercialized, and Littler is the face of this shift. There's a growing push to mold young talents into polished, marketable stars, players who fit perfectly into a corporate, TV-friendly version of the game. But in chasing this vision, darts could lose the unpredictability and larger-than-life characters that once defined it. The players who came from pubs and working-class communities, who thrived on raw passion and charisma, may soon be replaced by a more sanitized, polished image. For decades, darts has been celebrated as a sport where everyone, from seasoned veterans to underdog newcomers, could stand on the same stage. Littler's rise, while remarkable, might change that. Younger, highly trained players could become the focus, making darts feel less inclusive and more like an exclusive club. This shift might push out the diversity of talent and stories that have always made the game so compelling. The way darts is marketed is also changing in Littler's wake. Sponsors and broadcasters are likely to double down on his type of player, young, polished, and media ready. But what happens to the loyal fans who've stood by darts for generations? Will they recognize the sport they love, or will it feel like something shinier but less authentic? The pub-born traditions and unpolished charm could be replaced with a product that feels too perfect to relate to. Littler's success is proof that darts is evolving, but it raises a difficult question. Can the sport embrace this wave of commercialization without losing its identity? And it's not just the players who are affected. Littler's rise is also reshaping darts' audience. For years, the game has brought together fans from all walks of life, bridging generations with its unique blend of tradition and flair. But Littler's story, while inspiring to younger fans, could shift how the sport connects with its audience. Could darts lose its balance, leaving behind the older fans who've supported it for decades in favor of chasing a new, younger crowd? Darts stands at a crossroads. The question now is whether it can evolve without losing the heart that made it a global phenomenon. As the spotlight shifts to youth players like Luke Littler, darts faces a delicate balancing act. Attracting a younger audience might seem like a smart move. After all, every sport needs fresh fans to secure its future. But could this come at the expense of its loyal, older supporters? These are the fans who grew up watching legendary rivalries like Bristow versus Wilson, Taylor versus Van Barneveld. They've been the backbone of darts for decades, and if they feel left behind, the sport could face an identity crisis. There's also the risk of losing what makes darts special in the rush to modernize. Younger fans might be drawn to Littler's clean-cut image and meteoric rise, but darts' roots lie in its pub-born grit and charm. Stray too far from that identity, and darts could become just another overly polished, commercialized sport, chasing trends instead of celebrating its unique heritage. Littler's dominance also raises questions about the future of rivalries and storytelling in the sport. Rivalries have always been the lifeblood of darts, with fans relishing the drama and unpredictability of evenly matched battles. But what happens when one player, no matter how talented, starts to dominate the narrative? Without diverse storylines and competitive rivalries, fans might feel the sport is losing its depth. The challenge is clear. Can darts find a way to evolve, to grow its fan base while staying true to the traditions and audience that made it great? Littler's rise offers incredible promise, but also uncertainty. How the sport navigates this moment will define its future. For Luke Littler, this is just the beginning. The weight of expectations, the bright spotlight, and the constant pressure to perform are already immense. How he manages these challenges will not only shape his career but could influence the entire direction of darts.